Hello, welcome to Enjoy You. I'm so glad you're here. If this is our first time meeting, I'd just like to introduce myself real quick. My name is Coach Laura. I am a professional life coach, author, speaker, and mentor. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about my company, why I founded Enjoy You. There came a point several years ago where I had hit rock bottom emotionally, mentally, physically, and I was just bankrupt is the best way to describe it. And I was also fed up with being bankrupt. I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. I wanted to live a joy-filled life. I wanted just this abundance of joy in my life. And I knew it was possible because I saw other people doing it. And I wanted to know what they were doing that I wasn't doing so that I could somehow copy it. So I spent decades studying self-help books and going to seminars and researching and talking to joy-filled people and doing all the right things, church and scripture and all of it. And nothing seemed to work. Nothing seemed to change in my life, even though I was doing my best to apply the principles. I was being grateful. I was trying to be mindful. I was trying to have positive thoughts, but nonetheless, I kept having toxic relationships, drama, problems, chaos, fires that I had to put out. But worse, that feeling inside of me, that restlessness, that loneliness, that anxiety and despair, it just wouldn't go away no matter what I did. So I had this pivotal moment where I was at the lowest point of my entire life. My mother had just died. My youngest children, who my entire identity was wrapped up in, were either had just left for college. The youngest one was getting ready to leave for college. My oldest child, she was in one of the darkest places of her life and battling addiction and incarcerated. My marriage, I was only 2 years out of a 22-year marriage. My career, it wasn't really stellar. I just had all this stuff coming at me. And I was exhausted, mentally, physically, emotionally. I was just exhausted. And I needed a way to change my trajectory. That was it. I had no idea how. So I ran away from home. I went skydiving. And when I went skydiving, I had what some would call an epiphany, a moment of impact, a pivotal revelation where I experienced what it was to truly, truly come into a relationship with God. And what I experienced, the peace, the joy, the freedom, the excitement, the fullness that I experienced when I jumped out of that plane left me with only one conclusion when my feet hit the ground. Living a joy-filled life was never again going to be optional for me. No more would my life be defined by words like anxiety, depression, despair, abuse, abandonment, addiction, drama, chaos, all of those dark and ugly things. I was done with that. But I needed a process. I'm process driven. I want to know how to get from point A to point B. I needed a roadmap, and I didn't have one, and I couldn't find one. So I called on all of my past experiences, personally, professionally, academically. And all of a sudden I realized there was this thread, a silver thread that ran through so many of those things. I took all of those bits and pieces of information and I put them all together in a process, a framework that made sense for me. And my intention at that point was not to, create something that could be shared with other people. It was to create something that could change my trajectory from unfulfilled to joy-filled. I changed my perspective. I began to see myself as the chief operating officer running the business of my life. And I started to think like a chief operating officer. And when I did, everything changed. My perspective changed. How I could build this business of my life to sustain my joy, to manufacture and distribute a product of joy became very, very clear. So I worked on this process. I developed this framework, months and months and months developing this framework. Truth be told, I'd been working on this framework for years. I just didn't know it. 9 months after I created this framework, this blueprint, I could not unsee what was in front of me. There it was, a custom designed ecosystem that could support and grow and sustain my joy. 9 months later, I brought it to fruition. And I have to tell you, since then, my life has been joy-filled. The storms still come. Don't mishear that. Don't get that twisted. I still have moments of problems, moments of struggle, moments where I'm not totally sure what to do. But because I have this framework, I know how to quickly change that mindset, quickly change that emotions, quickly eliminate the things that are starting to impact and steal my joy. I know how to make decisions that will grow more of my joy than they will steal. That framework saved my life, quite literally, because I was at a point where I wanted my life to be over. I just simply could not hurt anymore. That framework that God allowed me to have, that God revealed to me, it saved my life. And I decided that when you discover something really, really amazing, like a great restaurant or a great coffee shop or a really fun place to go, first thing you want to do is tell everybody about it. You want to share it. Well, I wanted to do the same thing, but I wanted to do it responsibly, intentionally. So I went through multiple life coaching certifications, including emotional intelligence and several others. And currently, I'm pursuing a degree in psychology as well. But in the meantime, I am coaching and mentoring and teaching this life design framework to women, to teens, to college students who really want to build a life that they don't need a vacation from, a life of less regrets and more joy. And that may sound lofty, but it's also the truth. There is a better way. Now, I don't know that my way will work for you, but what I do know is that the definition of insanity is to continue doing the same thing that you've always done and expecting a different result. So if that's you, give me a call, reach out, email me, and let's begin a conversation to see if the framework that worked to change my trajectory and several other people's trajectory, countless other clients' trajectories, if it'll work for you. What do you have to lose except more joy, more laughter, more love, more dreams. Do you really want to lose any more of those things? I know I sure didn't. I believe in you, and I know that you're purposed for joy. And I know that you were created to know a joy-filled life, to experience that, the fullness of it. And I gotta tell you, once you taste it, you will never go back. You will never settle for putting your joy out on the curb beside the trash with a great big old sign that says, "Here, take my joy. I'm not using it." So if you're ready to change your trajectory from unfulfilled to joy-filled, then I invite you, please get in touch with me. I would love to learn more about you, hear about your story, and see if we're a good fit. Thanks so much for taking your time and sharing it with me. I truly appreciate it, and I cannot wait to hear more about you. Take care. And if nothing else, remember this one thing. You are enough. And living a joy-filled life, it should never be optional for anyone. And it doesn't have to be anymore. God bless and take care.